Alright, let's talk about the fourth season of Classroom of the Elite, specifically the second year, first semester arc. Now, if you're a fan of this series, you know it's all about mind games, manipulation, and the occasional burst of action. But this season? It's like the writers cranked the chaos dial up to 11. Personally, I think this might be the most intense season yet, and here's why. First off, the hook, Ayana Koji, our protagonist, is in more danger than ever. I mean, we've seen him navigate some tricky situations before, but this time it's personal. The new temporary school director, Tsukishiro, is openly gunning for him, trying to get him expelled. And if that wasn't enough, there's a spy from the White Room, Ayana Koji's old haunt, infiltrating the freshman class, also aiming to take him down. It's like he's caught in a vice, and the tension is palpable. What makes this really interesting is how the show balances these dual threats, keeping you guessing about who's pulling the strings and when they'll strike. Now, let's talk about the new characters. This season introduces a trio of freshmen who are, in my opinion, some of the most compelling additions to the cast. There's Hosen, the leader of Class 1D, who's like a more ruthless version of Ryuan. He's smart, calculating, and doesn't hesitate to use violence when it suits him. But what many people don't realize is that his character also highlights the growing stakes of the series. He's not just a bully, he's a strategic threat. Then there's Nanase, who initially seems like the good cop to Hosen's bad cop, but trust me, there's more to her than meets the eye. And finally, Amasawa, oh boy, Amasawa. She's the wild card, the Yandere character you didn't know you needed. Her obsession with Ayana Koji is both unsettling and fascinating, and her unpredictability keeps you on edge. One thing that immediately stands out is how the season disrupts the status quo. Ayana Koji is forced to reveal part of his true abilities, which is a huge deal because his anonymity has always been his greatest strength. If you take a step back and think about it, this is a major turning point for the character. He can no longer operate entirely in the shadows, which changes the dynamics of his interactions with everyone around him. This raises a deeper question: can Ayana Koji adapt to this new reality, or will it be his downfall? The season also revisits the island survival test from the first season, but with a twist. Tsukishiro changes the rules to specifically target Ayana Koji, turning it into a free-for-all instead of a class-based competition. A detail I find fascinating is how this mirrors Ayana Koji's own tactics. He's always been the master of manipulating situations, but now the tables are turned. It's a clever way to challenge the protagonist and keep the audience engaged. Visually, the season holds up well. The animation continues to use light and shadow effectively, which is crucial for a show that relies so heavily on atmosphere. The action scenes, while sparse, are decently executed. However, the music, aside from the opening theme Monster by Ariaoi, doesn't leave much of an impression. What this really suggests is that the show's strengths lie more in its storytelling and character development than its audiovisual flair. In my opinion, the biggest achievement of this season is how it ramps up the tension. With Tsukishiro's limited tenure as director, there's a ticking clock element that adds urgency to every scene. You're constantly wondering if Ayana Koji will outmaneuver his enemies in time, or if this will be the season where he finally stumbles. It's a high-wire act, and the show pulls it off brilliantly. Of course, no season is perfect. One critique I have is that some of the returning characters feel sidelined. With so many new faces and plot threads, it's inevitable that some of the older cast members get less screen time. From my perspective, this is a minor flaw, but it's worth noting if you're particularly attached to certain characters. In conclusion, this season of Classroom of the Elite is a roller coaster of intrigue, manipulation, and suspense. It takes everything fans love about the series and dials it up to new heights. If you're a fan of psychological thrillers or just enjoy watching characters outwit each other, this season is a must-watch. Personally, I can't wait to see where the story goes from here, because if this is any indication, the best is yet to come.